Hello, baby.
I was crazy once.
I'm thinking of a number.
Do you hear it?
No, I'm deaf.
What?
What?
See, that's
Huh?
called that's funny, right?
Yeah.
That's a,
That's a classic
we set
deaf
up a
guy
premise
routine.
here. Yeah, two guys who talk to each other say I'm deaf, and then they immediately can't hear each other. And
That's
scene.
kind of a social
That's
hack.
the
If you
whole-
say I'm deaf, the other person forgets how to hear. He forgets.
Wait, is I don't want this to be an ableist thing, but do deaf people just simply not know? They don't remember
No one
what
taught
hearing
them.
is?
No one taught them.
No one thought. Okay, I see how
I
it is.
apologize to the deaf community preemptively. I guess that's not preemptive because I said it.
Yeah.
Postemptively.
Wait, no, you're doing preemptive because just wait till the more offensive things you're gonna say later.
Exactly. Did we talk about this, like going up to the FCC or whatever?
We did not. That was just a conversation you and I had, like in line
Yeah,
somewhere.
and it's just like you get a TV show and then you go over to the FCC and you just give them a bag of money and you're like, this is for all the shit that I'm gonna say. Just giving it to you now.
And
This
then
is
you
a
just talk about like
preemptive.
piss or
Yeah,
whatever.
and then
like,
you
don't
don't
even
actually say
anything
it.
too
You
bad.
keep trying to get
Where
fined.
were we? What were we doing? Were we like waiting for drinks or
No,
something?
we must have
Like,
been. This must have been at the bowl.
Oh, that's right. That is the other
Of
that is the
Hollywood.
thing. I was like, it wasn't Disneyland
Yeah.
because we weren't. I'm not at Disney. I'm not a Walt Disney head.
Yeah, I'm a nuts head.
Hi there. Yeah.
A
You're a
what?
nuts head.
I'm a nuts head.
Yeah. I'm a nuts head. Do you know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
That's a lot
I
of
love-
nuts.
That's a lot. That's a lot of nuts. You gotta talk about Kung Pao into the Fist by not the Bob but the Steve Odenkirk,
Steve Odenkirk,
of
the creator of Thumb
entertainment.
Wars.
That's absolutely correct. And the producer of Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, he did that?
Boy.
I
Yeah,
guess that
because at
makes
the end of it
sense.
it has that the production logo is like that three-eyed like monkey, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Ted" or something like that, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah, because
It's like that. You got the Fremulon. You got the little Gracie films, the shushing for the
yeah,
Simpsons.
I love this shushing. Shh.
You get the lightning Jerry Bruckheimer tree or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
Don't I feel like there's a joke in Arrested
There
Development
is,
about, like,
where
hey,
it's
that's
like
the tree.
that really shocks my tree or something. It's like that's actually
Oh yeah, that's so good.
it's like that's
Shock my
actually
tree.
Bruckheimer. He's across the street or something. Or no, they meet with Bruckheimer and it's like his office is in like a pirate ship or something.
Yeah. And does he say that shocks my tree?
I think so, or someone says it, but
Or-
it's the wrong production company.
I mean, it's like probably Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think maybe Michael is like that shocks my tree, and then
And Ron Howard.
and he says, yeah. Hi, talk to me in the lem.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we've said it many times, but that show is so regrettable and how bad it became,
It's so good.
and so bad at the same time.
Mm,
Pour concrete on Tony Wonder.
that's
He's
right.
fucking dead.
Did somebody say Wonder?
Oh shit. And he pulls a piece of bread out of his cheek or whatever because he's made of bread.
He was made of
Welcome
bread.
everyone.
Welcome.
Welcome to Style Direction, a menswear podcast without the stuffiness for the enthusiasts. Back it up, baby. For the enthusiasts out there, this is for you guys.
Loosacast.
For us. Welcome. I am one of your three hosts, Ethan M. Wong.
I'm Spencer DSO.
I'm MJ.
What if I said like I am one of your three hosts, comma Ethan M. Wong, implying that we are all Ethan M.
We
Wong.
might be one day if technology
true.
allows.
We are.
Yeah, the singularity.
Yeah.
We are. You are as precious to me
As the Borg.
as you are too. That's right. The Borg? Oh, you think I'm doing like a? Like that was a Patrick Stewart thing I was doing.
No,
right?
but I'm just saying he could have said that in the movie and said, "You are as precious to me as the Borg."
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the gallon of like jungle juice and caffeine powder or whatever. Remember that? The Borg? What does it
Oh.
stand for? Like bottle of fucking
Bottle
death?
of rot
Like,
gut?
what's-
Is that like?
Is that true?
I don't
Borg
know. I know
meaning?
rot gut is a thing that people. I don't think it's that.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's Blackout Rage Gallon.
Okay.
Jesus Christ,
I
man.
like bottle of
It is-
Bratget.
Somehow worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
A gallon jug filled with a mix of alcohol, often vodka, and flavored water.
They should do
Okay.
flavored vodka and a gallon of water.
Yeah. How about how about a gallon of milk?
Yes.
How about can I get a glass of milk? You're not even saying it the same way
Milk.
as they are. Milk. Yeah.
There's a
God,
million
what's
different ways
Julian,
to say that.
What's Julian Fish TV up to? Julian Fish TV.
I bet we're gonna look it up and be surprised.
I
Last
don't
post
think.
3 years ago. I don't
Really?
know how long it's been.
Okay, Julian Fish, and I'm not even getting him. Like, I'm not even getting him on like YouTube. Okay, never mind. I just got it on Instagram. Here we go. That's not. This is a guy who makes fucking aqua like aquariums. I don't know who the hell. Where's Julian Fish?
It's Julian Smith.
Oh my God.
Fish.
Wait. Yeah, who's Julian?
That's
who's
really
Julian
funny
Fish?
thing to assume is his last name.
I just thought, yeah, such a wacky guy. I thought it's Julian Fish, man.
So wacky people have last names like Fish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he produced some stuff with Rhett and Link. All right.
He produced the producers.
Mel Gibson. That's
Mel
not
Gibson. It's the
that's
opposite of Mel Gibson, in fact.
Yeah, you got the two Mels couldn't be more diametrically opposed. What if it was Mel? I guess Mel Gibson and the producers would give it a very different meaning when he would
He
make
was
that.
like, no, this is cool.
This is actually, I want to make this musical. Actually,
it's like the plot is like we're trying to make the best musical ever, so it makes money, and then they succeed.
yeah, that's his wet dream. Actually,
Yeah.
he's like, "What's wrong with this? Why do people think this musical's a joke? It's actually a serious thing." We gotta talk about the producers. Set in I don't even know when it's set, but it's like vaguely like the 60s. I think.
I mean,
right?
the original movie is from the 60s. The movie with Willy Wonka. I'm blanking on his name.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Timothy.
Gene Kelly. Timothy Chalamet.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp. That came out in 1967 or 1968, I think.
That's right. But then the 90s one, I guess that's one of those things where it's like the Tim Burton Batman, where like you don't know what time. I mean, it's like a fake time period because it's like kind of the 40s, but also like the 70s at the same time.
Yeah.
Like what other movies are like that? The Incredibles, kind of like where you don't really know what.
They get more
year it
explicit
is.
with the it's the 60s in the second Incredibles movie. I feel like because it's like they have old TVs and shit like that.
I guess that is true.
I think that for the producers to work, it has to be set
after World War
after
yeah,
World
after
War
World
II,
War
but
II.
it has to be set like when people who served in the war were still relatively young. So 60s or 70s makes sense.
Yeah, that is what I was thinking. Oh yeah, I forgot. They became a stage musical. They became a movie of the stage musical. It is 1959.
Really?
Okay,
It's
I
set
didn't
in
even know that they
1959?
straight up- yeah, the at least a new one with Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane.
Matt Broad?
Matt Broad. Yeah,
Yeah, it is 1959.
Alleged. Can we say alleged manslaughterer Matt Broad?
Is it
Because
alleged? I think he
I mean, I think it's not because he did do it.
did do
right?
it. That's the thing about
and
him.
if not, this is alleged because I don't know if I can say that.
But how about this? We say that he did it, but he was justified in his actions.
He was charged with causing death by dangerous driving, but convicted of careless driving. Okay, so now that I've said the actual facts, this
The
matters.
facts of the case.
That's right. Anyway, guys, we're talking the cold open over. This is not the craziest one.
No, we've
obviously.
just said some
not by a
heinous
long
stuff.
shot. That's right, heinous.
How about anus stuff?
Oh, hey, FCC, give him $1,000.
Give me $1,000. I'll take it.
I could have said something worse, so give me the money back.
Yeah. That's actually funnier. A guy who thinks that that's how it works. Like instead of getting fined, you get paid by the FCC.
So he takes a challenge to say the most outrageous things to get the most money.
And then he
back.
gets the bill, and he's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, fuck.
I gotta say so many swears to make this money back.
Hey guys,
Hey.
welcome. Today we're talking about inspiration, specifically what it's like to act on inspiration in menswear. Because here's the thing. Here's my thesis on this, and you can read my essay about this. But to me, one of the reasons why menswear is a creative act is because it is about acting on inspiration, and I believe this is a very. I mean, I don't believe this. I do.
I don't believe everything. I just want to be clear. Everything I'm about to say, I believe none of it.
Yeah.
It's all fake.
But this is intentionally a very loose definition of inspiration. Like to me, inspiration is like the drive to do something. It's like this feeling that you have, something that you want to capture. And if we think about creative acts in like painting, poetry, writing, composing music, in my example, my personal example of myself, it's all about like being like, I want to, hey, I want to do this. And inspiration is about like what that thing is. And with menswear, I feel like, at least for us, maybe not every outfit, and we'll get into that in a second, but a lot of it is based on inspiration in some form. It's like I feel like wanting to look like this character, or I saw this thing in a movie and I want to do my own version of this, or I feel like looking formal today. I'm inspired by corporate attire, etc. And that to me is such an interesting thing, because it really, to me, it gets at, again, the creative aspect of dressing, how it's personal for us, and it's also, again, more than just the external requirements of getting dressed. Because once you have the freedom to kind of pick whatever you want to do, I feel inspiration is that answer. It is the driving force behind a hobbyist's clothing choices. And that's kind of, I've thought about that for a little while now. I think I might have said that in previous blog posts and essays and podcasts. But I thought that we'd talk about it today, because I know that with a lot of new people, they always ask, oh, where do you get your ideas for getting dressed? Or, in the cases of the Discord, Ethan, how is it that you always have a backlog of outfits that you see never seems to end, that you seem haunted by? And the answer is inspiration.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, why I want to talk about this. But how do you guys define inspiration? What goes through your head when about this topic? I don't know, MJ, if you want to start us off here.
Yeah, I just have a lot of copying, to be honest.
I mean, that's totally fine. I mean, that's kind of how most things go. And we can even talk about, when you get inspired and you copy it, like what level of it, is that still authentic? I feel like that's still, I mean, the answer is still yes in my head. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you kind of said most of it. And then, we have a couple bullet points here, but how it just kind of comes from everything and everywhere, even like non-fashion stuff.
Oh yeah.
You'll probably get into that, but I think my thought process has like definitely grown and like followed your guys's like flow charts, I guess, as it were. I mean, we get inspired from like similar sources, anyways. And you're like always.
We're also consuming some of the same stuff. So I feel like sometimes it is a little bit of a bubble, and we can get into that later as well.
Yeah, and like always like sharing and looking at stuff to keep that that like inspiration muscle, I guess, always like working.
The I am,
yeah,
as we call it.
Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, the inspiration muscle. Can
Mr.
someone draw
Tim.
that, please? Can someone who is listening to this draw Tim the inspiration muscle? Hello, I'm Tim.
So wait, it's a anthropomorphic muscle?
Or is it a?
Yeah.
I'm imagining just like a horrible creature that looks like it's just missing all of its skin.
In my head, it came
like a
up with the
bicep?
homunculus from Smiling
Oh,
Friends.
the homunculus, yeah.
Stop fighting!
I was watching
Hello.
have you seen the original Russian homunculus videos that episode is like inspired by? Hey, speaking of inspiration.
Yeah, he's sending it up. No, I have not seen that. What that
I was
is.
watching a couple of them and they were making me sick. Um,
Uh,
Because
oh wow.
it's just, I
Like-
mean, hey, it's what, for those of you who haven't seen Smiling Friends or these videos, it's a whole series of videos on YouTube of a Russian guy who is injecting sperm into eggs to make a homunculus.
Did we watch that together?
I did not. I don't. I have never seen. I didn't even know that the Smiling Friends thing was based on a real
Yeah,
thing.
because in there's the second one, he successfully creates a homunculus, but it's like just a little worm thing, and it spits on him, and so he smashes it with a Bible. um,
You guys can't see my face, but I'm terrified.
I mean, these are, to
right
be
now.
clear, that these videos are pretend, they're fake, but still, it's the
Oh, okay.
I don't think homunculi are
The
real.
storyline's funny.
The storyline is funny,
Yeah.
but
Does his roommate like open the door and be like, "Hey man, we're trying to fucking watch a movie over here."
yeah. It's like all I hear is injecting DNA into an egg.
Into an egg.
I wish.
Smiling Friends, good show.
It's a good show. But yeah, the third one, really quick, is him being he has like 30 eggs, and he's like, I'm just gonna see if any of these have anything, and he opens them all. He like dumps them all into like a clear container, and it's like, you have to let the eggs sit for a long time, so it's just like completely like they've all gone rotten, and he's wearing a gas mask the whole time. And it's just so disgusting. And he's like, nope, there's nothing in here, just egg and sperm. That's gone sour.
Nothing. Sorry guys, just got egg and sperm here.
Yeah.
Talk about sex.
Okay. Let's
Well,
talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about baby.
That's where
What
they
about
come
you,
from.
Spencer? What thoughts come to your mind about inspiration? Like, what were your
I'm inspired by everything. No, I don't know. I movies, TV, big ones, but also just like depending on like the kind of music that I'm listening to.
Oh yeah, that's kind of kind of abstract in a sense, but like there are coded things. Obviously, music comes from certain eras, which can evoke certain styles of dress. I would say.
Exactly. Like, if you're listening to like, beachy music, maybe I want to dress like I want to wear some Aloha shirts or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's kind of fun. Like, obviously for me, you guys know. I mean, I'm talking to my compatriots and the listeners. Whoa, multiple audiences or one giant audience. But I also get inspired from a lot of different stuff. Similar to everything, it's all movies and photos. I'm also very big. I'm also very big on social media. I love using it, and so whether it's like a fit pic of a friend, a brand lookbook, or like a photography account, which vintage photos often have good style. It's very inspiring. But similar to Spencer in a way, like I get inspired from music a lot, but I think it's definitely more of a vibe as opposed to like. And well, it's kind of hard because like I feel like classical music, concert music, orchestral music, or whatever. I guess there are some things that can sound like a beach.
Yeah.
But it's also like in my head, it's like it gives me like Frasier vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I think of like what would be the person who would be listening to this, and that can kind of inspire me. Or like what would the composer have been wearing when when they were writing this? And that's also one reason why I don't listen to anything pretty much in like the 1800s because that's a little too far. Sorry, Beethoven.
Wow.
Sorry, Brahms. But like Aaron Copland, Leonard Bernstein, they're wearing relatively normal suits, and so it's like, all right, I can do that.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Lately, I've been turning into a real Gilbert and Sullivan head because I watched Topsy Turvy, which is one of my favorite movies. I got that.
Yes, that's right. I remember
I got that
yeah.
from the Criterion sale, and so I watched it, and I'm like, you know what? These two crazy kids from England, they kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking
Some of the best songwriters of all time.
I'm talking the Sorcerer, I'm talking the Mikado, I'm talking Ruddy Gore, all of these things.
Ooh, the Mikado.
The Mikado.
Frasier.
We were talking. I was talking about that, where it's like they weren't even trying with the Japanese names. Like they were just like, sure. What's the Japanese name? Yum Yum. That sounds right.
That's so
That's
bad.
Yeah. Coco.
Oh my
Nanki Poo.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Mikado. I've only seen like clips of like the stuff, and it's like, in most cases it's white people playing these
Yes,
characters.
yes. Do they ever do
Um,
Gilbert and Sullivan stuff at like the L.A. Opera House or whatever?
they just did Turandot or Turandot,
Hmm.
and that's an Asian opera, and it's like it's basically an Italian opera with the costuming of Asia. If that
Okay.
makes sense. Like it's definitely like there's like comedic. There's like some of these three advisors are like Ping, Ling, and Pong or whatever.
Oh
It's fucking
God.
crazy. But like they have like this like trio, and it sounds like an 1800s like Italian like comedy, like these three like like not minstrel like these like fun like comedic clown characters,
Hmm.
and like the music itself sounds Italian, so it's like it's just weird that their names are Ping and Ling. They're talking about they want to live in like the countryside or whatever. um but like it's like the movie, the opera is like a mix of like like different Asian cultures. Like Ping Ling obviously is like meant to be like Chinese, but Turin Dot I think is like a Persian like name or whatever, or like kind of like in that realm of Asia. It's like daughter of Turan. Like
Oh.
that's kind of like that's what like Turan Dot means.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird. It's like it doesn't really make any sense.
Hmm.
It's all
But
fake.
yeah. There's a lot of discourse about Turin Dot. But I love it. I think it's such a good. The music is so great. But yeah, I think anything like non-traditional about our source of inspiration. I feel like this might be less for Spencer, but like I think MG wrote anime and video games. I feel like that's kind of a fun little area to like look at. And but that's kind of true for a lot of like non-menswear people. A lot of like not sneakers, but like kind of like fashion heavy people. There's a lot of fun ideas that you see in anime and in fiction, um, that that they try and there's a vibe and design details that they try and capture with clothing, and I can see how it's cool, right? Like it's kind of like Saffin core, right?
Yeah.
Like at least for me, like Saffin core is a way to kind of reconcile that with menswear, but like anime and video games and stuff. How does that play in for you, MJ? How does that work for inspiration?
It's kind of like Disney bounding sometimes.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
or
And
like
for those of you who don't know what Disney bounding is, that is where
Uh-huh.
you dress up like a character using normal clothes. And yes, some of that does really mean just wearing the colors of the particular character, but for at least for me and MJ, it can mean a little bit more closer in a vein to like finding clothes that closer evoke what that
Would it be
is.
mean if for the Instagram post on this episode we include the image of the guy who's like outfit inspired by Boo from Mario, and it's just like a white shirt and him sticking his tongue out?
I think that's too mean.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna go a different way with that, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It can be me dressed up as Prince Charming, and it's me wearing red pants and a white jacket.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I will say that ends up just looking like a fucking preppy ass outfit and not really like bad per se.
Well, just
But
cause
yeah, MJ, go ahead.
like the skinny pants, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, when it's more than just like getting like color combinations or ideas from a character, trying to get close with what we have, or like kind of doing um uh a spin, I guess, on a character is cool. Or it's like if this character was like real, I guess, like what would the real version of this outfit be like? Is kind
Yeah,
of
no,
like a
that's such a
fun and like good idea, to like use pieces from your closet for.
absolutely. I think I'm we just did Anime Expo, and we did a lot of Anime Expo, or we did a lot of cosplay. You and I, and where we dressed up as certain characters. But of course, we try not to buy like just like a polyester like jumpsuit for a thing. Like we want to try and wear the actual thing, or like for example, Spy Family.
Hmm.
I guess this is more for MJ last year, but like the character wears like a green three-piece suit or like an odd vest and like and we see a lot of people going there and they're wearing like a polyester costuming suit, and I get it too, where it's like they're not menswear people, That they're probably only gonna wear this at conventions, and it's like, oh, I hope they wear it more than once, right? But for us, obviously, it's like, well, also Lloyd Forger is just, if you think about it, he is a spy who wears a green suit, and that's menswear, and so we can just do that. Um, and it's funny because I mean, I don't have blonde hair, but I straight up have a green suit, so I can just straight up do that. But they're thinking about what these characters would actually wear. Um, is kind of fun. Like, again, like another character that I've kind of wanted to do is Bogard from One Piece, and he's called Bogard because he's straight up is meant to be. It's a shout out to Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca.
Whoa.
And the character himself, he wears a brown double-breasted suit with a fedora, and then of course he has the. If you guys who don't know, he's a Marine character in One Piece, and all the Marine officers wear this like admiral coat with like the epaulets and everything, and like he wears that on top of the double-breasted suit, and so it's like I I can straight up do that because those are all relative. That's also like this character's wearing like relatively normal clothes. Like it's not actually a crazy. It's not like I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen, you're not wearing. I mean, this is not like you're not like Gundam, right? You're not fucking wearing, or like Yu-Gi-Oh, where like this outfit doesn't exist in real life or whatever.
The physics don't even make any sense on a Yu-Gi-Oh outfit.
But I think it's important to say here, MJ, what you're trying to say is like, with non-traditional source of inspiration, that's like when we say that, it's like a character that doesn't exist in real life that wears clothes that don't exist in real life. It's kind of fun. The challenge is like, taking that inspiration, this feeling of kinship and like, I mean, admiration, whatever you want to call it, and like turning that into a real thing. I think that's kind of a fun idea. I mean, that's kind of the joy of cosplay, but I guess specifically with menswear, trying to find the largely wearable, appropriate version of that thing is kind of a fun aspect. But yeah, I mean, do you guys save inspiration? How do you guys operate? Like, obviously you can get it when you're listening, you're watching something. That's more passive, right? Do you guys think you take an active part in sourcing your inspiration or keeping track of it?
If I find something
Spencer,
that I really like on the internet, which is one of my favorite places to go, I'll
Did you know that according to this street out in New York, the internet's actually for porn?
No fucking way.
Yeah, I was on Avenue
Q.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Shout out. Anyway. Go ahead.
So if I see something I really like, normally I'll save it to my phone. I have like a backup on Google Drive of like a bunch of Inspo albums and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm sleepy.
Me too.
That was my big yawn.
Big O.
Yeah, big O. Like the big C, but with an orgasm instead of cancer.
The anime Big O. The Big O.
Oh yeah, that is an anime. No, but anyway, if I see something that I really like, I'll save it. Sometimes like directly to my phone, or I'll fave it on Instagram or something.
Do you screenshot movies when you're watching them?
If I can, because a lot of times I watch them on my TV, but sometimes I will take photos with my phone.
Of the TV, you're like,
the
damn,
TV,
that's
because I got to.
Yeah, I gotta have them.
Yeah.
Because you can't screenshot the TV.
I can't screenshot the TV until someone invents technology, a remote
Well, I
control.
can, but that's because my computer is connected to my TV, and so I can it's just a monitor
You're
at that
crazy.
point. Yeah, I'm a fucking hey, FCC,
You're a
lock me
fucking
up.
nut, dude.
Yeah, and that's what I do when I.
A whole
That's
pound
right.
of nuts.
Fuck and nut.
Yeah. What about you, MJ? How do you go about? Do you save inspiration often? Do you have like a folder on your phone?
Saving, actually I don't have a folder. It's just in the it just
Yeah,
goes.
oh man, you raw dog it. You
goes into
just
the-
straight up. It's in the camera roll.
Yeah, if it gets lost in the
I'm
aether,
not crazy, actually. That's crazy.
If it gets lost in the aether, then it gets lost, but it goes there. Or what I do is once I get inspired, or once I see something, or like I find something in my closet, I'll just put it out.
Yeah.
So that like looking at that piece.
Getting inspired from the piece. It's not even like a source of inspiration, not like a photo or whatever. Like, damn, this piece is calling out to me. I got to take it out of the closet and like look at it.
And then you just build
a
everything
fit
around
comes
that.
together.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Or
Skipping ahead a little bit.
or the reverse of that, where looking at that will
Put it away?
It's like I want a process of elimination. I'm gonna put everything
don't
away.
want
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything with this one. I'm gonna, yeah.
yeah. No,
New
but
choice.
but I mean, like, it'll remind me of the inspiration that I looked at. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
So,
I see what you're saying.
So it'll still
Yeah.
it'll still connect, but
I just love the idea of like I actually don't want this.
I'll remove everything from my closet that I don't want to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I save stuff.
Interesting. Okay, here's another thing. So, what do you guys think that you take the most photos of? Like, I mean, I know that we talked about where we get them, like movies, whatever. But like, is there one genre that takes up more than the others? Like, again, is it old photographs? Is it movie screenshots? Is it, what is it? Spencer?
For me, it's probably screenshots from movies. But especially when I find something that's like maybe a little bit unusual or different, or something that I wouldn't have thought of myself, like some sort of cool combo.
Okay.
Like, hey, I don't know what order these are being released in, but the most recent episode I talked about South Pacific. We're gonna have another reel that has this in there, the poster in there too. No, but there's an image. There's like a character in that movie and musical who's wearing like a mix of like traditional Pacific Islander stuff with like U.S. Marine gear in a way that's really cool. Or there's a similar character. Oh man, I'm gonna have to like look up the movie afterwards and figure it out. It's a movie.
And screenshot it.
Yeah, and screenshot it. It's a movie that's about like Pearl Harbor that came out in the 40s or 50s. And it's the same thing where there's like a guy who's like, a native Hawaiian who is wearing a bunch of like, he's wearing aloha shirts or like Hawaiian workwear with like US military uniforms. And actually, in those cases, it might be weird for me to exactly recreate those outfits. However, it's like kind of the idea of it is very cool, and it's something that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of on my own. So it's just the stuff that's a little bit unusual and stuff that you don't really see elsewhere is what gets me the most excited, and something that I kind of try to seek out.
Yeah. And that's more so found in movies, is what you're saying?
Yes, I mean obviously there's a lot of photos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
There's a lot of photos out
there,
there, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People have taken so many photos, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, what's nice about watching a specific movie is you kind of know, you kind of get an idea of what you're going to be getting into, because it's like, oh, this is set in, like Hawaii in the 40s or whatever. So you kind of know this is what I'm going to see. Or it's like, oh, this one's set in like Chicago in the 30s or something, or for something like Public Enemy. So you know kind of what you're going to be seeing in there. You're going to see a lot of pinstripe suits, a lot of big hats, 2 Tommy guns at once.
The geisha special.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's, obvious with a drum mag. And so I feel like this is the thing that I kind of, maybe I need to get back on Tumblr just for this. I feel like I followed a bunch of good blogs that posted really cool, like old photos or something like that. And, you could kind of be like, oh, this guy posts workwear. This guy, does this. And there's still like accounts for that on Instagram.
That. Yeah.
But I feel like I got better stuff from Tumblr. No offense to all the Instagram guys.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're about to refer to these guys, but Rivet Head is a great Tumblr blog, and he's on Instagram too. I don't know if he's
he is on Instagram, but the other thing is, it's like it's harder to save stuff on Instagram than it is on Tumblr. So
Yeah. Also, shout out Florian for Golden Era Suits, one of the best Tumblrs for me personally, because Florian, he is a huge fan of European workwear, American workwear, but also of suits, obviously, and Golden Era suits. So he kind of posts all of it. It definitely leans more tailoring, but that to me was a great area of or source of inspiration. Mm-hmm. That's interesting that you say that a lot of the stuff is stuff that you wouldn't normally think of. I've got thoughts on that. But MJ, what about I guess what's it mostly from you? Is it like, because since you're newer, is it more old photographs? Is it brand photos? Is it like lookbooks? Is it, except what is on your, I guess I guess this kind of is related to mood board talk, but like,
Yeah.
what genres of content or media, let's say, because it's not always content, but like what genres of media comprise your inspiration makeup?
Yeah, I think it's mostly like fit pics and lookbooks.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Even I don't know if I even really think that lookbooks are um that big of like an inspiration for me,
Would you
because
expand it to like brand content? I mean, it doesn't have to be like a lookbook, but like like brand editor, like like how Drake's they just post content. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
kind of.
yeah,
Because like it's even more like we're creating our own lookbooks kind of by looking at like our friends' fits, looking at um like specific parts of like brand posting, I guess.
yeah,
um where it's like, or maybe even like one person that like works for a brand, or whatever. um and then I actually look at the blog a lot. Here's a
yeah.
blog
Same.
plug. Even older stuff that you've written, like like 2-3 years ago, like even back to like pre-pandemic stuff, I still look at sometimes.
Yeah.
That's like a big.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I've said this before where like for me, I still look at, when I look at Drake's, I'm still referring to like the heyday of like 2015 to like maybe 2018 or 2019. It says something about me, obviously, but I feel like there's also like kind of a purist time. I mean, it's like obviously pre TikTok, pre ALD time, so take that how you want. No offense to those stuff, but it's like I just like more tailoring stuff. But that's cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, I never think of myself as a curator because I think Derek gets that a lot, where Derek shares some really good inspiration photos. But I think he and I would both bond on the fact that we apparently save so many photos,
Hmm.
and that we have an endless supply. And so for me to answer my own question, like as people who read the blog know, all of my inspiration stuff is on Imgur. And they're all organized by certain topics. A little peek behind the scenes. I sometimes don't make those until I have the idea for the blog post. From that point, it's more just recurating existing inspiration albums I already have. I have a lot of inspiration albums based on people, and it's not really like inspiration album of like I had a lot of photos that were unorganized. Like, well, I should just have a Jake Grantham one, or I should just have like a Armory / Mark Cho one, and I just did it that way. That way, I could just find it easier instead of just raw dogging it like MJ in the camera roll. Um, and so that's kind of how I have mine. It's organized that way. And it's always by like person or object versus or garment versus like vibe. Although I guess our summer inspiration album, which is just all the photos that are in the summer blog post that you guys have just seen, because that is what came out right before
That's
this.
right.
That is, I guess it's kind of a vibe, but it's very clear that there's like different subgenres in it. Like t-shirts, shorts, summer tailoring, but t-shirts. Not no neckwear or whatever. But what's interesting for me though, for Spencer, and I want to get back to is for this sounds like the most arrogant, and by
Okay.
arrogant I mean the most Ethan thing of all time. Um, all my inspiration is things I would do. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, no, it's
so
like it's not that's like, oh, I would never wear this. It's stuff that it's like, oh, I wouldn't have necessarily thought of this combo or whatever had I not been inspired by an image, which I think that's what this is about, right?
yeah, I know, but that is true. But that is
Yeah.
an interesting thing I want to get into, because it's like, again, for me, it's more so reinforcing my own taste that I have in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's one of those things where it might be true that I've never worn that particular combination before, but it's very me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like it's like a prompt, I would say. Like again, like nothing that Jimmy Stewart wears is something I would have never have thought of if I didn't see the photo.
Yeah.
I would have gotten to it eventually, but it's fun. Like since it's materialized, it makes me go, okay, I'm just gonna do that because I see it right now, as opposed to stumbling across the combination later.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm just like, looking through the closet. And that actually, for me, is how a lot of inspiration works. I mean, again, so much of it are things that is very Ethan. Like, I think that's very like the era of Drake's, whatever Ethan Newton is wearing. I will say to that end, there are certain things that did challenge me. I think Ethan Newton was a little bit more in that vein, where I would see kind of like some of the Japanese city boy stuff, obviously wearing fatigues with Ivy or traditional clothing, but with Ethan Newton, there's a little bit more of a different take, or maybe a little bit more vintage, a little bit more slouchy as opposed to youthful, or maybe there's more gravitas behind it. And that could be because Ethan Newton himself has a lot of gravitas versus like a young 20-year-old Japanese guy in the streets of Tokyo.
That's true.
They could be wearing the same thing, but of course Ethan, by his nature of the character, his whole vibe can give me a different feeling. And so I would say like maybe I needed to see the Japanese city boy stuff first, and then I see Ethan Newton doing kind of a similar take with like M43 pants versus like OG 107s, but wearing it with like a fedora and like a tweed jacket versus like a beanie. And then like, okay, I identify more with that side of it because I own more of that stuff than like the kind of like city boy youthful look, and so like that kind of can inspire me. So in that way, there is a little bit of like a novelty and newness behind it. But at the current stage where I am now, it's less stuff of like, whoa, I never thought of that, and more of like, oh, that's sick, I'm gonna do that because I own those things. And that's kind of like a different way of looking at inspiration, but in the same vein of like, oh, it actually gives me an active part in like making an outfit. It goes like, oh, hey, I haven't done the pink shirt with a blue foulard tie in a while, and I just saw this photo, and I'm gonna do that, and I save the photo because I want that photo. And so that's kind of how it kind of works for me in terms of like saving inspiration. And that, again, that can be applied for everything: wearing fatigues with tailoring, wearing sneakers with a suit, wearing a foulard tie with a striped shirt, wearing a knit tie with a striped shirt. Like, it's just different things of stuff that I do normally are all just saved. And that kind of plays into the blog post where it's always like, here's examples of other people doing it, and now here's Ethan doing those exact things. And if you look at the date code, if you were able to look at the date I saved it and the date I took the photo, they're simultaneous. It's not like I did all those photos first and then copied them. It's like it's an active thing. But of course, you'll never really know that based on how the blog post is formatted. But yeah, that's kind of how it works for me. And I have, again, people know I have hundreds of albums full of stuff that I like. But yeah, how about we move into like how does inspiration, like what's the feeling you get from it? Like when you see it, what jumps out to you the most? Is it like literally the combination of the things? I guess it kind of depends on what it is, but like what do you
it's
find?
the combination of the specific items, or it's like the vibe, or just thinking about like what they're doing and what they're wearing and how those things intersect. It's like when you see really old photos of workwear and they're wearing like suit jackets with overalls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun too. I might not necessarily wear that exact combo, but it might get me thinking about just combining kind of more formal things with exactly,
high-low combinations.
Yeah. You should see me when I go to a fast food restaurant, brother. I'm saying, give me the number 1 combo, give me the number 3 combo, give me the number 9 combo, all of these things.
Extra
number
dip.
2 combo?
Number 3 combo, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Is that a double quarter pounder with cheese or single?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you like it when you walk in there and you're like, I know what you want.
Yeah, that's right. That was actually the worst moment of my life.
I went to McDonald's.
It was McDonald's, and the guy knew my order. And when I got something else, he was like, not getting a number 9 today, huh? And I'm like, stop it.
That's when you said, you know what, cancel that order, and you left.
Yeah, I was like, I'm never coming back here, and I stopped going for a long time.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's never happened to me.
Yeah, that's
not true.
That's where you
at
don't
the bar,
want to be a regular, right?
At the bar, it's like tenders and fries, and I go, you know it, baby.
No, it's like, I don't know. I like being a bar. I like being a bar.
Yeah.
I like being a regular at certain places. I don't want to do it at my local
Fast
McDonald's.
food.
I feel like there's no
Yeah, that is-
there's no dignity in that.
Yeah, it's like coffee shop good.
No, number 9 today.
McDonald's.
Uh-huh.
You gotta monogram that somewhere.
Uh-huh.
You gotta tattoo that on yourself, actually.
Okay.
No, number 9 today.
You found your
Frowny
second
face?
tattoo, Spencer.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, but I think it's cool. Yeah, inspiration invites you to like, you know, it doesn't have to be specific about the combination of things. Is that mainly what happens? I guess what I'm saying is, or what I'm asking is, how much of the inspiration stuff is the copy fits, and how much of it is more of like the idea of it.
It's the idea. I love the idea of fashion, but in practice, I hate it. Just kidding. I love practice and I love ideas. But yeah, a lot of times, because, you know, it's like there are many times when I don't have the exact items that I see in something.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But I can start thinking about how can I recreate this vibe, or you know, capture the same thing with what I do have in my wardrobe.
Yeah, it is a fun. I mean, it's kind of like the fun challenge of menswear. I mean, like we said in the buying article or the podcast, it's like, you know, we don't feel the need to buy. Like, we don't need to. We're not like true collectors. Like, we need to buy every variation of every menswear piece. Like, some of the fun is the fact that you don't own that particular item, and you have to, but you still like whatever inspiration photo of it or whatever, and you try and find some way to capture that. You know, I mean, that can be said of any kind of like photo. I mean, for me with photography, right? Like, I'm inspired by a lot of like 1930s to like 1970s photojournalism and documentary stuff, and obviously I'm not following like the Rolling Stones around, or I'm not traveling through Kansas during the Depression, or I'm not like, you know, Slim Aarons, you know, hanging out with high society in the 60s. But I love that idea of capturing a vibe and like having the same thing of like turning your subject into this thing, whether, you know, like finding the dignity of a friend in like a Depression photo. That sounds kind of like stolen valor. I mean that in the best way possible. Or like, you know, like
valor.
finding, yeah, or like, you know, like an old band photo, or like, you know, like concert stuff, like being embedded in a subculture and like documenting what it's like to be there. I love that feeling, and obviously I'm not gonna just jump into like a fucking like a hardcore concert, because like that's not, I don't listen to that music, I'm not in that culture, but I like to think of my friends as their own subculture, so I want to capture that same feeling with my photos, with the subjects that I have. I'm not gonna like force Spencer to get all tatted up and wear a fucking crazy ripped t-shirt and like cut off
I
shorts
hate
just
when you
to
force
capture
me
that.
to do that.
Yeah,
Put
and I'm
a
stopping
gun
it right
to my
now.
head.
Yeah.
Get a tattoo right now. Yeah.
But I do, but like, yeah, I like that idea of like the challenge of being inspired by something, but also realizing the limitations of what you have. I think that's kind of like a fun, you know, it's kind of a what do they call it on TikTok? The de-influencing, where like, you don't need to buy that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Here's, you know, it's okay. But what about you, MJ? How much of it is copying versus inspired by the abstraction of the image or the ideas found within?
The power within. It's pretty. I want the rule of two. The rule of us two, actually, because you know, literally wearing Ethan's old outfits has worked out pretty well.
Tried and true, baby. They're not bad. No
Yeah.
bricks to be found. No, what is it? Bangers only,
Bangers
baby.
only. Yeah, no misses.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty mixed, I think, because like you know, like we were all saying earlier, just kind of like that approximating or taking certain pieces from other people's outfits or you know, historical photos, and then combining it with what we already have, or you know, our own like aesthetics, our own takes on like pieces, whether it's like eras or like more simpler like just color combinations, is kind of where that like inspiration goes to.
Yeah.
That way that's what's kind of like kind of going into whether or not it is our personal style versus just like straight up copying what we see on other people.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, again, like I know maybe this whole episode is showing that Ethan doesn't have style because I just copy whatever I fucking see. But yeah, I think it's I like kind of being in the middle of both of you because it's like I go between capturing a vibe with certain stuff and straight up just doing what's in the fucking photo. I will say I think my saving grace is that I own those things already, so I feel like I'm not copying. It's like, oh, I gotta buy that thing in order to copy it. Like I straight up I'm like, oh, I already own that, so the taste is there, baby. I'm just putting it together, and it's still, and again, based on like what I've already done, it's like it's already a real thing. But I think more often than not, my thing is straight up just like, yeah, doing what I see. Again, with like Jimmy Stewart, Esquire Man, or whatever, because it's so easy for me. I feel like it's just when you own those things, or I mean, again, I don't have like the exact thing. Like I don't have a 1940s khaki suit. I do have a fugue suit that has wide leg pants and soft shoulders, and it's like, well, some of those details I feel like are not important. I'm like the whole idea is that I'm wearing a khaki suit and the guy in the Esquire photo is wearing with a chambray shirt and a foulard tie. And I love that with Esquire Man or Apparel Arts, they sometimes tell you exactly what it is that they're wearing in the caption, just like I tell you exactly what it is I'm wearing. But I feel like you can see it because it's not. I'm not a fucking painting.
What?
But yeah, I'm not. Believe it or not.
Okay.
But I do like, I'm like I have those things, and sometimes it could be as simple as like, well, I don't want to wear chambray today, just for some random agency that I have, like, but I want to wear a blue shirt, so maybe I'll wear an Oxford, and that could be, or it can be an end on end point collar. It could be an Oxford button down collar. It could be my Oxford spear points. It could be a stripe. I could do stripes instead of the solid shirt. So like I feel like there is some agency there that comes out when I'm actually making the outfit. But usually it is inspired in some vein by like what I see, and I think I don't know if unlike you guys, but because I'm chronically online, it's like overstimulation in a sense of like I love seeing such a variety of different sources of inspiration. Again, like watching movies, brand lookbooks, fit pics, or whatever. I will say I am inspired less by fit pics, and less from obviously like influencers or fashion people outside of like what I've already saved. And I think some of it, and this is a little off topic, but I think it's because for photography, a lot of it is like kind of photojournalism, documentary stuff. But I love portraiture. There's something like kind of like dignified about portraiture that I love. It feels artful. It feels like I guess kind of like a symphony where it's like a very straightforward presentation. Obviously, portrait photography is based in like portraiture painting. There's like this dignified history behind it. And to me, like I love that idea. And a fit pic, even if it's taken really, really well, I just don't get the same feeling from it. And that could just be my perceptions of social media. Like a portrait to me is very like a celebration of the person, but a fit pic to me is like content, and I'm like not into that. Which is funny
Wait, are
because
you
I
saying
post
you're
fit
not
pics.
a fan of media and content?
Whoa. But that's why I think my favorite photos are whenever I'm at church, RIP, because apparently I'm not going to be playing at my church anymore. But like there's a difference between like taking a photo of yourself in the backyard as like your fit pic and then like with dramatic lighting and having that feel. I mean, that's kind of one reason why I like B and Taylor. And you could argue that that's just social media content and fit pics in its own right, but I feel like it's just done better. So maybe I just like that. And so I like photos from people who are like that. Obviously, B and Taylor, Chad Park, Ethan Newton all have that kind of, and also like Anglo-Italian all have that in there. But other like an influencer or whatever doesn't do that, and especially what doesn't do that are fucking reels and TikToks.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm into. But moving on here, how often does inspiration play into making your outfits? Like what's the balance between making an outfit spontaneously, and of course this can involve thinking about it at that moment, but like I'm saying, like how much of it is like directly inspired versus like, oh, I'm just making an outfit for the day and I thought of this outfit, like I thought of this inspiration that I have in the back of my head, versus like, oh, I'm gonna wear that tomorrow. Like how often does that happen for you guys? What how often do you slide between the two?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of times when I'm putting together an outfit, it's because I'm in a certain mood. You know, it's
Okay.
like, oh, do I want to just to be a little more dressed up today, or do I want to be dressed down, or do I want to be rugged, or just regular? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say when I'm just dressing for every day,
Mm-hmm.
there's usually not a specific piece of inspiration where I'm like thinking about a certain photo or something. But I don't know. For example, and I know you did this too. After I saw the bike riders, I was wearing my like denim jacket a lot more because I was just like, oh yeah, that thing looks cool or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm doing that tomorrow.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
but
But
usually
that you're saying that doesn't happen to you often.
yes, but I mean, not often. Um, Sometimes I'll like think it's like, you know, I'll see something and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to wear this thing that I have or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of times when I'm just dressing up for, you know, just like, oh, I'm just gonna be at home, or I'm running errands or something like that, I still, you know, wear stuff that I like and I still want to look nice, but it's more just kind of like, what do I happen to feel right now, like what mood am I in,
Okay.
kind of devoid of
Yeah.
inspiration. But a lot of times if I'm,
Or inspired by something abstract,
yeah,
something different.
exactly,
Yeah.
or it's like, you know, just what music am I listening to this morning, and then if it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fucking like 50s rock and roll or something, I'm gonna dress a certain
See,
way than if I'm
that's
listening to like kind of
interesting.
like, you know, psychedelic rock or something.
Maybe
um
is that why I'm always in a suit, because in my head classical music feels like suits, and if I'm listening to that all the time, then that makes
that
me
might
wear
be
suits all the
it,
time.
that might be
That could
it.
be it. I need
But
to listen to things that are not that to make me inspired to wear jeans.
yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't. I am just conducting in the air. It's like here's a crazy thing. This is a little off topic, but like when I think of conducting or whatever, I'm not wearing a fucking t-shirt and jeans. I'm wearing a suit or a tuxedo or whatever. Just like also when I'm sitting in a mid-century chair, it feels wrong to do that wearing fucking like gym shorts and a t-shirt. And if I'm sitting in a mid-century chair, I'm wearing trousers and everything. And that sounds like the dumbest stuff, but I don't know. Like I feel like it's all about a fucking if we think about it in terms of like Spencer of like, oh, I'm listening to this music, I'm listening to this vibe, then it's just unfortunate that the vibes I have are just always so tailored.
that's right.
What about you? Or Spencer, keep going if you had
Well,
other
I was
thoughts.
just gonna say it's like but you know, if I'm dressing for a specific event or whatever, then
Oh
usually
yeah,
it's I try to find some direct inspiration for it, but or not direct inspiration. I just like kind of like if it's something that it's like, you know, a party or like a menswear event or something, I'll like go through the archives and I'll just be like, what am I feeling today? And then I'll let
yeah.
myself become inspired by something.
Okay, that's
Hmm.
interesting. Yeah, I like that. Obviously, yeah, inspiration plays a different role depending on what activities you have for that day. What about you, MJ? How much of it is immediate? I'm gonna wear that tomorrow. I'm gonna wear it right now. Versus like, again, like more like Spencer, where it's kind of just floating in the head, and like, you know, when you get to it, you'll get to it, or it's more subconscious inspiration.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the same, pretty mixed, especially if
Mm.
there's a particular thing that is happening, you know, kind of like, we just went to the Hollywood Bowl for
Yeah.
for a concert, so that was something where it was like, oh, that's happening, so you know this is what I'm gonna
And so
wear.
do you have like, okay, that's like a summer concert? Do you like, and you look at like summer concert inspo? Like
Yeah,
is that like kind of what you're saying here?
pretty
Okay.
much. Or um, it was kind of like, well, I want to wear a tie, and it is summer, so it's like, well, here are the
Oh yeah,
summer.
Madras makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah. So that's
So did you look at like Madras jacket inspo, or like how did you put it together?
um, yeah. I mean, it was like
Okay.
that. You know, um, I wanted to wear jeans that day because, like, we knew we were gonna sit on like the like
The
the
bench
benches,
thing.
out there. So that was kind of like what I wanted to go for. Um, so that, there's that, and then ki- kind of like kind of like how Spencer was saying, how like things just kind of like will be like floating around,
Yeah.
um, and then it'll come up where it's like, oh, I have an opportunity to like break this stuff out now, so that I decide that's what I'm gonna
So
wear that day.
when it comes, like when the occasion or activity comes, that's when you start to reference your inspiration albums for that particular thing.
Yeah, it's it's kind of like having I like to say like I have stuff in my back pocket.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's like at any given time, like I can have this like outfit ready basically.
Here's a question for both of you before I answer this too. But like, do you find that you use inspiration to kind of reinforce your choices? As in like, oh, I feel like wearing this, but I don't know. And then you look at some photos of people doing something similar, like, and then you go, okay, actually, I think this feels right.
Yeah, I'll do that. Or sometimes
Okay.
it's like, like MJ said, it's like the inspiration will come from a specific piece where it's like, oh, I want to wear like this tour coat today, or I want to wear my Browns beach vest or something. Sometimes what
Yeah.
I'll do is I'll go on Tumblr or Instagram and I'll search for that like piece, and I'll just
Yeah.
see other people wearing the same thing. And sometimes that'll give me
Okay. Yeah.
ideas.
I guess that makes more sense of like, yeah, when you have the draw to a piece, but then there's a lot of different ways you could wear that piece. Obviously, we all have worn utility vests, etc., in a variety of, with a tie, with a hoodie, etc. And I think, yeah, it is interesting to use inspiration to kind of help narrow that down,
Yeah,
by
exactly.
seeing how other people do it. That's really cool. I think I'm probably the same way whenever I feel. Whenever I feel like, oh, I'm drawn by a particular piece. Like if I think, oh, I want to wear a white suit, but then literally I can wear a white suit literally however I want. I need to provide some parameters to it, and some of that can be internal. Like, okay, well, I want to do white and Western, but sometimes it is nice to just scroll through the white suit inspo album because that has everything in it, and then I'm just, okay, that one seems to be right today,
White and
or
Western
whatever.
would be a really fun Instagram handle.
Yeah, pro Trump,
Yeah.
pro, all that kind of stuff. Um, Yeah, so for me, I guess this whole episode is about me showing how insane I am, because for me, almost every, like I keep saying, is almost every fit is like directly inspired. It's inspired from the moment of, or
The
I'm
moment of
more
birth.
in the camp. I'm more in the camp of I'm gonna wear that tomorrow, and that's how the backlog happens. So, for example, like I will see something somewhere, or I'll just be scrolling on my. I mean, sometimes I'm bored. I'm just like on Ninja, like, and I think, oh, I want to wear a brown check jacket sometime this week, or I want to wear that tomorrow. Then I'll just start scrolling, and then I'll see like 5 brown check jacket outfits, and I'm like, holy shit, these are so fucking awesome. And then I end up wearing a brown check jacket 5 times that week, I think I'm gonna do it 5 times a week, and then I see the white inspiration album where I see a guy wearing the like a navy suit, and then I'll be like, okay, shoot, cool, and I just start adding those stuff in there, and I already own the pieces or pieces that are very close to it, and it just keeps going. It's like ad nauseum or ad infinitum, where it's like so much of it is so cool that I want to do. And obviously I try and rearrange it after I've got a good flow going, to like that way I don't repeat, but like also just have some variety, to like my outfits for the week or whatever. But it really is kind of like I see something and I feel so drawn to it that I'm like, I'm gonna wear that. Either if I've got nothing in the backlog, I'm wearing that right now, or I'm gonna say I'm wearing that tomorrow. And again, that process just repeats over and over, because I even the creation of outfits can make me inspired to make another outfit. Because like I'll pull something out, I'll put something together, and maybe like, oh, this tie doesn't go with where I'm going with this, or this shirt or this jacket, but then I feel bad about putting it back in the closet, so then I'll make an outfit with that thing that was discarded, kind of, and then now that's in the backlog, and then making that can make another outfit. And so it depends. So like, again, for me, a lot of stuff can come from media or content or whatever, but then when I start to look into the closet, start physically doing it, it'll be like MJ, we're like, oh shit, I see a garment, I'm like, I love this thing, and if it's not going in the outfit I'm originally making, I'll just stay in that part of my room 5 minutes longer, and I'll just make another outfit with that thing, and then I'm there for like half an hour just making outfits, and I go, holy shit, I've made 7 outfits, I gotta stop. And I know a lot of
I
people
gotta
are
stop.
like,
Stop it.
I think that's a lot of people can say like this sounds like a good problem to have, but I want to be spontaneous also, and you could you could view this act as spontaneous. Like I was just talking to someone, she was very intellectual, very surprising. I wasn't expecting to get into this with her, but
Yeah,
like
Marie Curie.
we were, yeah, but we were saying how like how our creative acts are, depending on how spontaneous they are a record of your feelings, emotions, interests, taste, for example, in that moment. And I've written that article on how to photograph is to how to die, where a photograph is a combination of all those things for the photographer, because there are so many different ways you can take a photograph, and it's an inherently subjective thing, or of the photographer's experience to capture this moment. It's all from his point of view of storytelling, and it's a record of his, again, whatever he was feeling, whatever he felt was right. And in that same way, I like that about outfits, where it's about capturing that inspiration, like the source of the inspiration, like the photo. Yes, getting inspired by the actual pieces of it or whatever. But I like those combinations because of emotional attachments or whatever. Where like I can like how the brown and the grays move together. I love the way the guy is sitting where his shoulder, his pocket fisting or slouching around or whatever. I mean, hey, a picture has 1,000 words, right? And so there's so much there that I want to capture that is more than just, or there's a lot there that is more than just the outfit itself that I really like. And so whenever I make an outfit, it's not just about copying those things. It's about, I want to feel like how I felt seeing this photo, and I want to feel like the person in that photo. So it's a lot of stuff going on there, and that's why it can be kind of interesting for me to wear these outfits, because they are a record of that moment. And again, yes, sometimes they go into the backlog for 3, 4, 5 days until I get to it, depending on how often I refill it. But it is cool because then I look forward to reliving that thing. It's kind of like, whenever I go through the archives and I look at old photos, you could call it nostalgia if you want to, but like I like that idea of like reliving and like, bringing those feelings coming back of that moment. But of course, as people know in the Discord, I know I don't want to keep making outfits forever, because I know that could happen. So I like to challenge myself to like, okay, I'm going to stop here at 5 or 7 outfits. And then when I get to them, I'll get to them. And then I'll see how I feel next week. Or I'll make a time for, I want to get inspired by something more in the moment. So I can say, I'm going to put that on tomorrow, instead of like, I'm going to put that on tomorrow and I'll put that on the day after, put it on the day after. Like I want to be able to just say, I'm wearing that tomorrow. And so like, just challenge myself to stop there. And sometimes those outfits are usually more casual, where like, oh, I feel like wearing my merch t-shirt, I'm gonna wear that tomorrow, because for me tailoring is evergreen. I can wear that anytime, but a t-shirt can be kind of special, because I don't get to wear that often. But that's kind of like how I'm an insane person, and how I can never stop. I mean, it's just, you call it a blessing or a curse. I see it as more of a curse. Because I think, and I read this in my essay, but I think for me, inspiration is again about acting on that kind of stuff. And before menswear, I would write music so often. Like I feel like, oh, I'm gonna write a fanfare, so then I'm gonna do that right now, or I'm gonna do a Western piece, or I'm gonna do that right now, or I feel like writing a Bond piece, and I do that, and so like I just end up, going through, and I challenge myself to kind of go start to finish on those things. And so menswear is in that same vein of like, I like that immediacy of it. I like to be able to act on this inspiration. And one of the reasons why I stopped writing music, or I stopped writing it regularly, is because obviously the act of acting on inspiration can take a long time to see that art object come to fruition, right? Like I can feel inspired to write a Bond piece, but it can take me a couple of days to fully finish it. And that can be tiring, or or at the very least it can burn you out. And yes, I'm very proud of what I write, but sometimes you want just something quick. You want to do more of like a doodle, right? Like you want to have this fun idea, and you want to just see it through, and you want to be done with it. And for me, clothing, menswear is a very quick creative act. And so and they're kind of, they're like photographs, they're like doodles, where it's a snapshot of those feelings that I have, where I'm like, I want to look formal, I want to look 70s, I want to look sexy, I want to look blah blah blah, and some of the stuff is inspired by the emotions I feel randomly, or I could be from the photo I see of it, but it's all about acting on that whole thing, and I can't stop is the whole problem. So we'll see if it becomes like menswear, or it becomes like music where I only make outfits once a month and I end up just wearing pajamas all day. But that won't happen because I love wearing clothes, and um, I think everything should be expressive. Um, and we should doodle, and then that way we should make outfits as much as possible. Um, but last thing here that I kind of want to talk about that's brought up by Zeometer, in our Discord, but was kind of like, does inspiration ever feel inaccessible? I mean, it's one thing to feel inspired or kinship with a particular piece of content, media, a garment, whatever. But do you ever feel like locked out, like you can't do it?
No.
Um, okay. I mean, yeah,
Well, I mean, like I
you're,
said, it's like, I don't know, um if I'm personally inspired by something, because there are a lot of times where I'll find an outfit, I'm like, that looks nice.
yeah,
But I don't think I could wear that, or I don't think I will wear that. But that to me is different than me seeing something and it's like, okay, maybe I don't have the exact pieces that I see in this photograph or in this video or fit pic, whatever it is.
yeah,
But I will still make it work. I will still like just try to kind of capture that specific vibe or whatever, which I think I can do regardless of whether or not I have the exact individual pieces that I see in the thing that inspired me.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. I guess more for MJ too. Like, does it ever feel like, obviously a lot of menswear stuff is white and rich? Do you ever feel like, it's not, like, you're like, oh, I can't, this is cosplay, or like when you see the inspiration, like, that's cool, I could never do that in that vein. I know we had the whole episode on being Asian American, but just any updated thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I haven't run into it yet. I feel like there's just so much out there that I'm still finding stuff that is like, yeah, I could totally do that sort of thing. Um,
It probably helps that a lot of Asian people wear menswear. It's not like it's less socially charged as maybe as it was a couple, or a decade ago or whatever.
yeah, because I mean, other than like literally having no pieces, or the piece that I see, like, in a in a picture, or in an illustration,
Hmm.
there hasn't been anything that just, oh, I could never do that, or I could never pull that off, sort of thing. um
Yeah.
yeah.
I think, I mean, kind of similarly, like, I think, maybe I have more of the arrogance, but it's kind of like, personally, I've never, even though I was very aware that some of my inspiration photos are like white guys, I'm always like, I'm never like, oh, well, they can only do this because they're white. I'm a little bit of like, I want to be a part of the conversation that expands the idea of what it means to dress in that way, and I want to be a part of it. And you know, there's a lot of Asians out there. I feel like there's, I know we talked a little bit about how there's not a lot of Asian Americans, but I think that that's obviously changed since we had that article, because with TikTok and more people in the industry, and the culture and everything. So, and of course now seeing those guys do it, it's like it just makes it regular. There's even less of a social or political, um, meaning behind it. But I mean that's always going to be present, right? Like, I mean, it's still very, I'm still very aware of the Western connotations
Mm-hmm.
of tailoring and everything. But it's, I mean, again, it's cool. I mean, Black Ivy, again, is a good subject, a good book and photo, um, essay on that kind of idea. Um, what about, I guess, Spencer, you kind of mentioned this already, but how much of inspiration, do you feel that is, does it get you to actually buy the garment that you're seeing? Like, I know it's kind of rare for us, and we kind of talked about this in the, buying episode, but
I don't know, not really. Maybe not anymore, since I feel like I have a lot of what I need.
right. I mean, I guess
Maybe
if
I'm
you were
like,
asking
oh,
this
there are
before,
things that I want. It's like, I don't know, like I want more graphic T-shirts or something, cool vintage tees. But
yeah,
that's not really because of any specific piece of inspiration. And even if I um, see a cool outfit that has a cool vintage graphic tee, like I have enough where I can do that still. So I don't
yeah,
think I think it's just I'm not really inspired to purchase something because of that. I don't think.
yeah. I mean, I think yeah, this is a different conversation if we were younger and had less clothing. We'd be like, of course, like if I see a guy wearing that, I want that thing, and I'm gonna buy it right now, or I'm gonna try.
Hmm.
But now it's after again after a decade, or I guess before the blog. I mean, we've been wearing clothes for over a decade, but it's like we have all the stuff, so we don't really need to buy every single thing that we see.
Yep.
Because at least in my case, I own at least my version of whatever that is. Nothing is terribly new for me. But what about you, MJ? Like, how often is it like you see an inspirational photo and you're like, "That's cool," because I don't own it, and so now I'm gonna own it.
Um, I've been doing it less. I feel like it happened a little bit
Yeah.
more frequently before. Um, uh,
When
but
you bought those garden clogs,
yeah, the clogs,
this kind of goes into the whole trendy thing.
the engineered garments stuff, like
Mm.
um,
Oh yeah, seeing Derek wear EG vests can inspire you to buy EG vests.
yeah. See, that's going back to like the just having friends that wear cool stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean it's happened less frequently in the past. What are we at? Like the past like six or so months, like less than a year. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it used to happen. Used to happen a lot. I felt like, especially since started shopping on like eBay and like grailed more. Um,
Yeah.
but it's I feel like it comes in waves. Um, especially now that I'm trying to cut down some stuff to, well, I say cut down, but it's really just making room for better stuff.
Right. I mean, what's interesting about this, and maybe I should have brought this up earlier because this is kind of a bigger topic, but I'll try and be succinct about it. It's like I think what's so funny is that the current media has, I feel like an obsession with inspiration, with obsession with mood boards, and mood boards have always been a thing. But I feel like we love doing it. We love being the source of inspiration. It's almost a form of like social currency in that way of like showing that I've got the coolest inspiration. Like I think that that's again kind of different than how we're doing it of like a personal source of ideas and feelings and stuff, but it's almost like capitalizing on it to like, and at least in the very least in terms of social cachet of like, oh, I can find these really cool vibey photos from old magazines or whatever, and I want to show you how cool I am by having it. And in turn, because it's so capitalized, it can feel like perpetuating the idea of that you people should buy everything that they see on this stuff because it's just so cool.
Maybe we should do an episode on menswear marketing, and we can talk about how every brand has like a mood board now. It's not just
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
random Instagram accounts. It's like every brand is like here's some cool stuff, and that's kind of fun to see what they're inspired by, but it's also definitely a marketing tactic.
I mean, I mean, the fact that all these influencers now have their own Substacks, and so
Mm-hmm.
like you want to subscribe to my newsletter and get all this inspo, it's literally monetizing just the inspo,
Yeah.
which is interesting. But yeah, definitely, I just thought about that again as we talk about, what do you call it? Like how much of inspiration makes us buy stuff. I mean, obviously for me, apparel arts. Oh, I want that brown double breasted suit. Okay, I want a Panama hat. I want all this kind of stuff, and I do fall into that trap. But also, I want to say that those things are classic, and I will wear them with everything. So it's not like I just buy something because it's just inspirational. I buy it because I can see the aesthetic potential of like that particular garment or the particular item. So I feel like I'm okay in that regard.
There you go.
But let's close up here. Tell me what's your favorite sources of inspo. Like just tell me, Spencer. Tell me what do you got, or
The
it could be a
movies.
specific photo. Okay, how about specific movies or whatever? Like the ones you revisit or that are the most inspiring for you.
I don't know. It depends on what mood I'm in. I think it's every movie is different. I mean, hey, if it's
You
fall
don't say.
time, I'm gonna like Inside Llewyn Davis or something. The most
yeah.
recent one that I really liked was The Bike Riders. Stuff
Yeah.
like that, where it's like I think it kind of depends on the season and the mood, and I don't necessarily have one that I just am always going back to. For specific outfit inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. Any like photos from like that you think of like that like. I know that's kind of hard to remember the exact one, but like anything that I was like, oh, I saw this guy wearing this thing, and like that's like one of my favorite photos of all time.
Um, There's a photo that I really like after one of the atomic tests of a guy showing off his Rolex bubble back. And I like that photo a lot. You only see the watch and like a little bit of his shirt, but I like that one.
I love that. MJ, what about you? Specific photos, specific movies, specific animes.
I don't know, the outfit of the day channel on the Discord.
Oh, nice. Shout out the Discord.
Yeah, the blog, like I said before. Um, I mean, I really like when I actually get to go over like Esquire Man stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's always a good read. Would you call looking at pictures good read? Um,
Sure. I'm going to read those photos.
yeah, yeah, read this. Uh, and yeah, just I really like looking at workwear mill SERP stuff, just in general. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the stuff that Spencer posts is always good. I know we just talked about the Pacific, uh,
South
yeah,
Pacific.
the South Pacific.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean those are all great stuff. I mean, for me, obviously, I also love movies. I get inspired, even if it's not a great movie. I'll be like, that's a cool combination. I'll do something like that. Again, for me, it's about saying I can do that thing. It's about acting on inspiration. But for specific stuff, obviously the Philadelphia Story. I love that movie. It's really great. North by Northwest. But in terms of specific people, Jimmy Stewart again. Obviously, I just love the way he dresses. I like him more than Fred Astaire. There's just more gravitas to it. Obviously, a lot of artists, photographers, seeing portraits or photos of them is so inspiring to me because I like to cosplay as a creative, even though I'm a bad one. But I like to think of myself as like that. You know, seeing Gordon Parks wearing a fedora or a trench coat with like his film camera around his neck is like that's so cool to me. I want to do that, and so I'll walk around with my camera around my neck with my coat or whatever. So there's stuff like that. Obviously, looking at Leonard Bernstein or photos of John Williams or just composers like wearing cool clothes in their studios. I love that idea. Um, I love being inspired by that. Obviously, apparel arts, um, less brand lookbooks, etc. But I also do love Ethan Newton, Arnold Wong, and Chase Winfrey. I think is also a really great source of
Yep.
inspiration. Some of the best dressed people I know who, yes, work in the industry, but have a very I don't know. They just have a personal style to them, and people they take photos of themselves, and people take photos of them. So it feels a little bit kind of closer to that whole like artist or muse kind of approach, as opposed to like like a straightforward, almost not asexual, but just like 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 a fit pick. It feels so like neutral. You know what I mean? So. They have so much passion or emotion in their stuff, and I could just be reading that because I love what they wear and I own similar clothes. But I like it that way. But hopefully, you guys, you enjoy this episode. I hope that this helps you think about inspiration a little bit critically and find out what inspires you and how you relate to it. How often is it that you're copying things? How often is it are you keeping it in the back of your head? You have an inspiration album. Let us know. I mean, our Discord people will probably let us know, but let me know. DM me. I would love to hear about this kind of stuff. Comment on the blog post or comment on the Instagram. But I think it's clear inspiration is just very cool, and I think it's just so fascinating to see how people are drawn to things and how it factors into creating something, and that could be as simple again as making an outfit. So happy inspirational activities, everybody,
And happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Merry Christmas.
That's right.
Happy
Spencer's
New
got to
Year.
leave, but I
Yep.
can sign off for him.
Well, I'm Spencer DSO.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
MJ, I know. Well, also, by the way, dear listeners, you can support us if you really like this at patreon.com/downdirection. $5 a month gives you access to our Discord, where people again share inspiration. People share fit pics, and it's all very inspirational. Everything is inspirational, and yeah, that's a really great benefit of the $5 a month. It also gives you access to our backlog of old photos. Sorry, not old photos of movies that we cover on the bonus podcasts. Of course, as they're always free for the first 15 minutes, which honestly gives you nothing because we don't talk about movies until like 15 minutes in. But if you like all of that, $5 a month gives you access to that stuff. $10, nothing extra other than MJ thanking you right now. MJ, who are you thanking?
We are thanking our sidecast fanatics, who are Shane Curry, Philip Gregard, Henrik Wilberg, and Alexander Batten.
We appreciate you guys so much. Hey, ramping this up, baby. A couple more episodes to go before the end of the year. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Ethan M. Wong.
I'm MJ.
Bye-bye. It's always weird when someone leaves in the middle of this, but it's okay, Spencer. We got you. This is fine. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.